Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel Saint Nightingale. In this tutorial video, I'm going to be showing you how to sew a shawl collar female shirt and trouser with a fold down waistband. Alright, if you haven't subscribed, please click on that subscribe button now. So you can see my brown paper on the floor. I've divided this into two equal measurements for the left and the right side. The vertical line that you can see is the division, and the horizontal line that you can see is after I took out 4 inches from the top of that part. So at that point where you can see me placing my measuring tape, I'm going to take 3 inches away. I'm going to go upwards again and take another 3 inches and then connect the markings that I've made on that line with my ruler. I'm just placing my measuring tape to confirm that the measurement I have is still 3 inches and it's accurate before I then draw that line. So that's out of the way. The next thing I'm going to now do is to mark the shoulder measurement. So you see that line I drew up, that's part of the shoulder. So I'm going to take 3 inches away from that part, which represents the neck area for the back. If I take 3 inches away from 8 inches, I'll be left with 5 inches, and that's why I marked 5 inches on that part. So you may wonder, why am I using 8 inches? The back measurement I'm working with is 15 inches. I added half an inch sewing allowance to give me 8 inches, and that's why I'm marking 8 inches. So if I multiply 8 times 2, I'll be left with 16 inches for the shoulder. Alright, so after this I went downwards by 9 inches to get my armhole, the wideness of the armhole, and then I marked 9 inches across that part. I picked up my ruler at this point to connect the markings that I've made. Thereafter, I'm going to connect the markings on a vertical line so that it connects to what we have upwards. So now I'm going to connect the markings again upwards to properly create the pattern for the armhole. So that's out of the way. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to create the slope around the armpit area. So I'm taking 1.5 inches from that part and on that other side, and I'm going to use my curve ruler to create that curve for the armhole. Afterwards, I'm going to create my shoulder slopes. I'm taking 1 inch away from that point, and I'm going to connect from the neck area right there towards that area, and that's it. After this, the next thing we're going to be doing now is to create the shawl collar. So I first of all marked 6 inches for the depth, or rather 6.5 inches for the depth of the shawl, but much later while drafting this pattern, I changed this to 8 inches because I realized that the 6.5 inches that I had marked was not as deep as I would want the shirt depth to be, or the shawl collar to be. So I'm going to be flipping this measurement to 8 inches, but let's just proceed. So on that area, I'm going to be marking out 1.5 inches away from that line, and then I'm going to also go upwards. I went upwards again and then marked 1.5 inches on that point. So I'm going to use my curve ruler now to connect the markings from that point where I have the line, right? And then I'm going to connect it to that midpoint where I have my 1.5. And then I'm going to flip it over again and then draw a curve again on that point. Alright, so the bust measurement that I'm going to be working with is 40 divided by 2 will give me 10. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches sewing allowance on the side, so that's 12. So I went on to mark 12 inches across the bust, waist and hip area. The full length measurement that I'm working with is 23 inches. So from that measurement downwards is my 23 inches. So I'm going to go downwards now on that line by 8 inches. Like I mentioned to you, I changed the depth of the neck area because I realized that what I had drafted out at the beginning would not give me the depth that I want. So I'm just going to be using my curve ruler now to trace to that midpoint, and then just do a proper tracing on that part. And there you have it. So we're done with this pattern now. I would now cut through. I'll be shading the areas so you won't get confused. I will not be cutting this through now, and then we'll be placing on the fabric to recreate the pattern. Okay, so let's cut through. So I folded it a bit for you to see what this would look like when we have it completed, right, on the dress itself, or have a complete shirt. So let's just proceed to cutting the other parts of the pattern. So I'm done cutting. I'll pick up my scissors again and just do like a small incision on that part to get a proper shoulder or armhole measurement or pattern. So I'm going to just pick my scissors now and trim that out. Also, I'm going to be doing like a curve movement around that area. You can see the way I'm taking my scissors, just a very tiny bit curve movement, so that when this laps on the body, it slaps very well and there are no bulges around. So I'll just do like a small curve cut, as you can see me do with my scissors on that part. So that's done now. I'm now going to be moving to the other part of this pattern to cut the back panel. So on the back panel is pretty much easy. That place I labeled SP is my starting point. The wideness of the neck is 3 inches. I mistakenly measured 2.5 inches, but I'll be correcting this. So the wideness is 2 inches, the depth is 1 inch. I went on to plot the shoulder measurement and then the armhole measurement as well. So I will just use my ruler now to just get that point. Like I said, the depth is 1, the wideness is 3 inches. So I'm going to be using my measuring tape again to get a proper measurement for the neck area. The bust measurement, like I mentioned to you, is 12 inches for the front panel, and I'm going to be measuring 12 inches for the bust, waist and hip measurements, which is what I'm going to be working with. So like I said, I'm going to be correcting that point, which is 3 inches now. So I'm going to use my curve ruler now to just get an accurate curve, and then that's done. So let's just finish up the measurement for the bust, waist and hip, which is 12 inches, and that's done. I'm going to also get that curve around the armpit area with the curve ruler, and this is finished. So I'm going to label this back, and I'm also going to label the front panel front. So let's cut through this now. Also, very quickly, I just did my shoulder slope from that point so that this has a proper fitting, and we're done. So let's just cut this through. So I'm labeling this front panel and the other one labeled back. Let's cut the trouser now. So my brown paper is on the floor. The wideness that I measured there is 2.5 inches, and I went downwards by 10 inches, which is the crotch measurement. I remember that there's a band for the upper part. The band is 2 inches wide, so that's why I won't be working with 12 inches for the crotch. I'm going to be using 10 inches because the band already contributes to the length of the crotch, right? So I went in to do my curve on that part of the trouser. I'm working with 1.5 inches on that part, like we'll do for the armhole slope. So I went on to mark my waist measurement. My waist measurement is 33 inches. So I added, this is on fold, so I just rounded it up to 34 inches. That's 17 inches. So 17 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance will give me 19 inches. So I will divide 19 inches into 2 to get my waist measurement. My hip measurement as well, my hip measurement is 40 inches. 40 inches divided by 2 will give me 20 inches. So adding my allowance as well to that will give me 12 inches eventually, because this is, imagine this is on 4 folds, right? So I'm going to also get my wideness now. So from that hip line I just drew a straight line downwards, right? So I'm going to use a free hand to connect the waist measurement to the hip measurement using free hand. So from that point I'm going to be taking the point I just removed my finger from. I'm going to be taking half an inch from that point. I just marked the knee measurement. From that knee measurement I've taken out 1.5 on that line, and the tip of the trouser I took out 1.5 as well. So from that round knee measurement area I'm going to, or towards the crotch, I'm going to first of all take my half an inch, connect it to my 1.5 from the round knee side, and then towards the tip of the trouser I'm going to connect it again. The tip of the trouser, pardon me, is 2 inches away from that other tip. So you have half an inch, 1.5 and 2 inches away, and that's how you have your trouser ready. I'm going to label this front and then cut through. Alright, so after cutting through, I'm going to place this on the pattern paper for the back area to replicate the same. The reason the back area is different is because I'm going to be working with elastic for the waist, right? And I want to create that gathers at the back. So from that area, from the waist area, I'm going to be adding 4 inches to the original measurements that we have for the front, and I'm going to be extending the crotch for the back because that's where the buttocks sits. So I'm going to be extending this by 1 inch for the crotch area, but then let's proceed to what I mentioned I'm going to be doing for the waist area. So for that waist area I'm going to be adding 4 inches, right? So that 4 inches is what you can see me marking there. And then for the hip side I'm going to be adding about 1.5 inches away from the hip area. So I'm going to be using freehand again to connect to that point. So all the way downwards I'm going to be making use of 1 inch addition, and that's what I just used my freehand to recreate on that part. You can decide to use your measuring tape to get an accurate sketch, or you use measuring tape and your ruler to get this as accurate as possible. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch on that side like I mentioned, use my freehand to connect, and the pattern is ready. I'm going to pick up my scissors now and then just trim through. This is done. I've labeled it back, and I'm now going to be placing on the fabric itself to get the pattern on the fabric. So this is the front panel. The fabric is on fold and I'm just trimming out, but then on the tip part of this trouser I'm going to be leaving half an inch sewing allowance to take bearing in mind that there's going to be a band for the waist. The trouser measurement or the full length measurement I worked with is 60. So this trouser already bears in mind my 2 inches sewing allowance. So in the rather trying to work out the front panel, I'm going to be adding 3 inches at the tip and half an inch on that point, so you can see me cut through half an inch on the tip as well for the joining for the shoulder and the neck area, and then the sides as well, half an inch on that side. So the front is ready. I'm going to be, because I want the panels or the pattern to be as similar as what is on the left side, so I'm going to be flipping this pattern over on the fabric to also mirror what I have cut on the first panel or the first pattern that I have. I took out 3 inches allowance on that tip, right? And then I'm going to also cut through the same way I cut through the front. Is the same way I'm also going to cut through the back. So this is the back panel. I'm going to also place the back pattern on this, and then bearing in mind my 3 inches that I'm taking. So the reason why I'm adding 3 inches to the tip of the shirt is because I want a longer shirt measurement, different from what I have on the pattern. The pattern paper wasn't long enough for me, and that's why I've added this 3 inches measurement to the tip of that pattern. Next, I'm going to be cutting a rectangular shaped piece of fabric for my pocket. I'll be showing you the technique of that for sewing this much later in this video. So let's proceed to cutting the interfacing for the front panel. So this material is already on fold downwards, the one I'm going to be using to close up the front. You can see that I'm cutting through. Just follow through this process to understand what I'm doing. So I folded this fabric to mirror what I have. You can see how I'm trimming it. I'm also going to trim that side to capture the shoulder. So I'm trimming this now straight down, all the way straight down. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this shirt is not like a suit, it's not a suit pattern where you have a full lining that covers this up, right? So I'm just going to be using that piece of material to cover up or turn inwards the tip of the shawl and the front part of the shirt. So up next, I'm going to be cutting the sleeves for the shirt. The length of the sleeves is 8 inches. I included my 2 inches sewing allowance to the tip and arrived at 10 inches. So on the machine now, I'm trying to put together the front flap or the front part of the shirt. I'm going to be joining shoulder on that part that I used my hand to show you. That's the neck area. I'm going to be joining this part first before I proceed to joining the one that is the flap that I'll be using to turn the shirt over. So let's just follow through this process. I'm setting the fabric now so everything aligns before I begin to join together. I've joined that part now. I'm now going to place the flap, the one that you saw me cut to trace this particular pattern. I'm going to also join it the same way I joined that. I'm going to also join this, and I'm joining on the wrong side. So I mean the right sides are facing each other, the wrong side is what you're seeing upwards. So once this is done now, I'm going to open this up and then join the back pattern, the back side of the shirt to it. So I'm going to fold that and nudge the center point of the opening for the back side, right? The center point for the opening for that back side, I'm going to nudge it, and then I'm going to place it on the other side of the fabric. I'm going to show you how I'm going to place this. So that's the back side of the fabric, that's the center point. I'm going to flip this material, right? As you can see, that part that has the joint sewing is what I'm going to be placing on that part, and I'm going to be tracing it out till I get to the other edge of the shoulder. So I'm going to be joining it first of all shoulder to shoulder, and that's what I've just picked out now. I'm going to be joining it shoulder to shoulder on that point. This is a very, very easy step, so just follow me. So I'm going to sew all the way till I get to the center point. While sewing, you also have to ensure that you place the fabric appropriately so it follows through with the shape that we have on the front facing panel, right? So it follows through. See how I'm spreading it open gently. I'm adjusting my the fabric underneath the needle and the machine so that this aligns properly. So this is done now. I'm going to flip open for you to look at it. That's it right there. The next thing we're going to be doing now is to join the flap that we have for the front part. So you can see me as well. I'm placing the center point downwards first. See how I'm sewing across the collar area, the shawl collar, and then after following through that pattern, I'm sewing it all the way down. So this side now that you can see upwards is the wrong side of the fabric or of the flap. So once that is done, I'm going to move again to the other side. This time around, flip this over as you can see in the video and then sew through. So once this is done, I'm going to weave the opening. I just want to quickly show you how I'm going to be placing the flap, right, connecting the flap to the piece of material. I won't be connecting this now because this hasn't been weaved yet. So once I weave it, I'll come back to the sewing machine and show you how this will be joined, or the next step to this. Right, I'm just setting it now to just show you from one point to what point this will join. So let me just stand up now and give you a closer look of what this will look at. So you can see I've ironed this out. I'm showing you now with my hand. All the parts that I pinned from pin 1, pin 2, pin 3 is what I'll be sewing down on the material. So I have weaved this now. I'm now going to be sewing based on what I had shown you with the pins. I'm going to be sewing just that area in this piece of material. So after sewing down now, I'm now going to be closing the tip of the material. For the front and for the back, I'm going to be closing the tip before I join it on the sides. So in closing the tip, I'm going to be using 1 inch allowance, folding it twice before I begin to sew down. So I'm done sewing the tip of the shirt. I'm now going to be sewing the sides now. After measuring to check that my allowance is intact, I'm just going to be sewing through now. After this, I'm going to be sewing the sleeves, but first of all, let's close the tip of the sleeves. Right, I'm using 1 inch allowance as well, so on fold twice, that's 2 inches away from the sleeves. After joining the sleeves, or rather covering up the tip of the sleeves, I'm now going to proceed to joining the sleeves with the main part of the fabric. So what I'm doing here is to get the armhole measurement as well as the round sleeve measurement. The round sleeve measurement I used was 14 inches. The original measurement for the round sleeve is 12 inches, but I'm using 14 because the style is not a fitted sleeve style, right? That's why I'm doing that. So that's done now. I've weaved the sleeves. I mean, that part you can see. So now it's time for us to join the sleeves with the shirt. So our shirt is ready. I'll just weave the armhole, round armhole, and then we'll proceed to the trouser. So first off, I'm going to be joining the tip of the trouser for the front and for the back. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to join the tip of the trouser before I proceed to do any other thing. So after joining the tip, remember I mentioned that we're going to be sewing a fold down waistband. I started sewing about 3 inches away from the tip of the trouser at the back because I'm going to be finishing my band on that side. But for the front, I'm going to just start sewing across from the very beginning, and I'm going to be using 1 inch sewing allowance on that part, from that center point down towards the crotch area. So after this, I'm going to be closing the sides, bearing in mind that I'm going to be putting my pocket in that side. So I first of all measured the waist to check what I'm going to be taking out, as well as the hip as well to know what I'm taking out. So for the waist, right, I'm going to place this now and I'm just sew in about 1.5 inches downwards, because from there I'm going to be inserting my pockets. So I'm checking the waist now to know the measurements I'm going to take away from the waist. I'm going to take in 2 inches away from the waist. The wideness of the pocket is 7 inches, so 7 inches downwards from that point is where I'll be starting my 2 inches from. So I'm going to do this for the left and for the right side, and then insert the pocket. So I remember I said I was cutting something rectangular on the floor. So first off, I just closed the sides like this. Remember I said that the wideness of the pocket is 7 inches. I'm going to measure 7 inches on that point, and then I'll just sew down. I'll measure downwards and upwards, and then so I can just connect this to the other part of the pocket as well to get the wideness of the pockets. So afterwards, I'll trim out the excess. If you don't want to waste so much fabric, in case you're not working with, don't have luxury to waste fabric, you could just cut the size of the pocket already from the very beginning while you were tracing this on your table on the floor. So I've gone to weave the pockets. I'm now going to be joining the pockets to the openings that I have on the left and on the right side. So now that the pockets are ready, let's join the underneath of this trouser. I'm going to be starting from center point downwards, flip over rather, and continue again from the center point downwards. Bearing in mind the measurement of my crotch, so I'm going to be taking 1.5 inches away from that point, also factoring the measurement for, or the wideness of the waistband. So I'm going to now join this from that point downwards, flip over, and then continue the same process on the other side of the trouser. So this is the other side of the trouser. I'm going to be joining as well from that center point downwards. Then I will now proceed to working on the fold down waistband. So our trouser is about 90% ready. I'm going to be taking the flap that I've prepared for the band area, which is 5 inches wide, right, and as long as the measurement for the waist, and then I'm going to be sewing by 1/2 inch from the tip of the trouser all the way downwards. So this is ready now. Watch how I'll be folding this, right? That's how I fold. I move the piece of material all the way to meet the tip of the joining, and then I fold it in again, and that's what I'm going to be doing across the waist. For beginners, I advise you first iron this out on your ironing table to get the correct or accurate measurement for the waistband, so that you won't be having a sloppy finishing. So this is done now. I'm now going to be passing my elastic into this. So the reason why the wideness of the waist is this much is because, remember, there's no zip, so the trouser has first passed through the hip, and the hip measurement is 40 inches. So this elastic has to stretch as much as 40 or more to be able to pass through the waist. In total, I have excess fabric, so in total I had about 42 inches for the waist, so that when the elastic measures and rather passes through this, it will be able to sit properly on the original waist measurement. The original waist measurement that I have for this trouser is 33 inches, and like I mentioned to you when I was cutting, I made use of 34 inches. So it means that the elastic band has to be as tight as that. So the measurement for the elastic band that I used was 30 inches, but then when it stretches wide, it can cover as much as 42 inches wide because of the stretchy nature. So I used my my tool to pass the elastic into the waist area and then started pulling this out. Luckily for me, this pulled out at a point where it was very close to the tip, so I just used my hand to complete the process. I pinned this down with my bobbin pin and then pinned the other side down as well, and then just sew through. After sewing through, I doubled the sewing so that the elastic doesn't give way when it's worn, and then I weaved this area that hasn't been weaved yet. Afterwards, I trimmed out the excess and went to weave on the weave machine. Once this is weaved, I'm going to be showing you now what this turned out to look like, and voila, here we have it. You can see our shawl collar sitting very, 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 very pretty. You can also see the fold down waistband. I'm going to be turning the camera, zooming in with the camera for you to have a close-up view, but let me just first of all establish the overall view or the full-length view of this mannequin and the two-piece that we have, right? At this point, let me quickly mention that if you haven't subscribed yet, please do not forget to click on that subscribe button. You can see the elastic, right? You can see the fold down waistband and the elastic sitting in. You can also see the pockets, right? So back to my subscribing promo. If you haven't subscribed, please click on that subscribe button now. Also, did you know that we have a WhatsApp channel group? I call it St. Nightingale Extra Lessons Snell, where I will be addressing questions that you may have after I must have posted a tutorial video and you're not clear about something. That channel is where I'll be reposting or doing a fresh video to help understand, or rather help you understand based on questions that you have sent me. So this is the back view of the trouser. I pinned this down so you can have a proper fitting when this picture of this two piece is taken. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them down below in the comment section and I'll take them. Are you following us on our Instagram page? If you haven't followed us yet, it is stnightingale.official, the same spelling of St. Nightingale. Just put .official and you'll find us. I'm also on TikTok. It's at send.nightingale. Just click on that follow button. Show me the same love that you show me right here on YouTube. From me to you, it's bye bye. Keep creating magic.